Hello, thank you for joining me today. Welcome to my channel. My name is Mary, and it is almost the new year. And like many people, I'm thinking about what I'm going to do for 2024, what are my goals. And so Janus, which is January, the Greek, I believe, word for January, and where it comes from is two heads facing in the opposite direction. So it's like looking in the past to hopefully learn what you consider maybe mistakes that you did in the past year and how you can correct them and what you're going to do better in the new year. So last year I did the Three Rivers Challenge and I really loved it. It taught me a lot of things. Um, Basically, what Jessica established in the Three Rivers Challenge is to look at your food pantries and figure out what hasn't been used and how you can use it so it doesn't go to waste. Um, Many people have taken it in other directions, but that's the basic behind it. And a lot of people have used this as avoiding the grocery store to save money during that time. And that's a very good thing to do. Um, it is also the opposite of our growing and harvest season. So it is using some of that bounty to feed our family and kind of, wintertime is basically a hunker down, quiet time, which is totally opposite of the summer where everything is bursting in growth and activity. Winter is basically a inward feeling, examining who you are you representing what you really want, that type of thing. And today I thought I would just kind of work with you and talk about the Three Rivers Challenge and what it means to me, and hopefully what it can mean to you, and encourage you to take a challenge of your own. Now, Jessica every week records what she serves for dinner and how she's doing the Three Rivers Challenge. And last year I did not record the meals I made. I followed the Three Rivers Challenge and I talked about it, but I didn't record any of the cooking or how I was working the challenge. And I made this year, I'm not sure. I'm not really comfortable cooking in front of others. In fact, I'm a type of get out of my kitchen and leave me my space type of person. It's like, no, you can't help, go sit. So, um, so I want to talk about, what my view of the Three Rivers Challenge is and how I'm going to work it, and hopefully share that with you that can encourage you to examine how you're feeding yourself and your family, if it is creating health for you. There are a lot of things that can be encompassed by this challenge. And so I'd like to go over a couple of those things. On the other hand, because, I don't like to waste time, I'm like you probably, inundated with food that I got for guests that would be visiting during the holidays. And I now am faced with, I got to do something with this quick before it goes bad. And I don't like to waste food. So one of the things I got was a beautiful pineapple. And if you've watched my tapache video, I show how I preserve the core and the skin by making a beautiful fermented drink out of it called tapache. So here I'm left with this beautiful, fresh, juicy fruit, and I want to freeze dry it. So while we're talking, I'm going to be slicing and putting this on my freeze dryer tray. So one of the things the Three Rivers Challenge means to me is visiting the grocery store hardly ever. And last year, when I challenged myself to do this, I realized I don't really need to buy things at the grocery store. When I go into the grocery store, oftentimes it's a lot of impulse food or treats or whatever go into my cart. So if I stay away from the grocery store, it's probably healthier for me. So that's one of the things that I look forward to, is that I basically don't do grocery shopping in a grocery store. Now, if you've been watching my channel, you realize that I do a monthly grocery haul from Azure Standard, which is wonderful. I can get organic food and really good deals. And because there's my husband and I, we don't have a family of 10 like Jessica, then we don't eat as much as a family of 10, or 9 or 6 or even 4. And it took me quite a while to pare down my cooking, where I'm not cooking for a large group. After my sons left home and went to college and did all that, it really was difficult for me to not cook for an army. When you have 2 teenage boys, they eat lots of food. So anyway, it took me a while to realize that we don't eat as much as our boys did. So when I get a good sized pork chop from Butcher Box, well, that big and that thick, that feeds the 2 of us. I look at Becky from Acre Homestead, the amount of food she makes for the 2 of them would feed us for a week. And I realize that they do leftovers and things like that, but it's still a lot of food that would challenge me so that I didn't waste any of it. So there's the thing with, being mindful of how much you eat and maybe how much you need to eat, because as we get older, I don't think our bodies require the amount of nutrition that you need when you're in your 30s and 40s. That your body uses up a lot more. So in order to keep our weight at a healthy weight, it is important to recognize that I don't want to feed us more than what our body requires for energy and maintaining good health. So I pare down my meals for that. And yes, I do like to do food that I can make a meal and have some convenience food later on. I like making a large pot of spaghetti sauce and having even 4 meals out of that. I'm going to do a banana now, but I have plenty of banana chips downstairs. And what I want to show you is, basically a little trick that is kind of fun. So you take and peel your banana. As you can see, these are starting to ripen. And then poke your finger. See if I can remember to do this. I used to do this when the boys were little. So you're separating it, and you separate it in 3. And it's just a fun way of eating, and I dehydrate them like this, and they kind of look like cigars when they're done, and the boys would have fun with that. So I thought I'd share that with you. So one of the other things is when you buy food at the grocery store, usually there's a lot of environmental waste. So you have packaging. And if you buy meat at the grocery store, it comes basically in a styrofoam pack. That's waste, and it isn't able to recycle. So I don't like waste. I don't like not being able to recycle. So there's that. You really do save in fact that you're not going to impulse buy, and that you're saving on environmental waste. The other thing about grocery stores, as I mentioned, is the impulse buying. And maybe you're more stick to the list type of person than I am, but I see something and I get it, and then I get home and I put it on a shelf, and 2 years later, why did I buy that? Maybe you're not like me, but that's another thing, okay? I'm bringing something into my house. I got to figure out how to use it, or when I'm going to use it. Maybe in the grocery store I had something in mind, but eventually I either forget about it or whatever. But there are things on my shelf that I know I had a purpose for, but the purpose went out the window, whatever. So if you find yourself in that position, that might be another reason why you don't want to go grocery shopping and do the challenge. See how you can use the food you have on hand, and maybe stuff that you got, you had a purpose for at one time, but that purpose is no longer valid. You're not using it anymore. So so that's one thing. Got packaging situation, and you have impulse buying that you don't have to figure out what you're going to do with this particular thing. And last year was a very bountiful year. My tomatoes were crazy. And I know I have at least one more package of tomatoes downstairs in my freezer that I have to figure out what I'm going to do, maybe make a sauce or something. But I want to take care of that, free up some space in my freezer. So now here's the thing. You don't have to totally quit the grocery store. You make your own rules. If you don't want to be without salads, for example, you certainly can allow in your budget money for the grocery store so that you can buy salads. But then, as an added challenge, create a list before you go to the grocery store and stick to the list. And speaking of lists, I think one of the things that is beneficial is creating a menu. Now, when I was newly married, we got a paycheck once a month. And I had to create a menu, a monthly menu, and purchase only what I was going to use on that menu. And that was really, really difficult because, first of all, my mother did everything. And unfortunately, she didn't insist that we learn from her. And I wish kind of that she had. She lived hand to mouth. She would go to the grocery store, figure out what she could afford, and make a menu from that. And that, that's one way of handling it. But I was thrown into a situation with this getting paid once a month that I think was a good thing. In the long run, it taught me how to budget, how to make meals basically from very little, and how to recognize how I could save money here and there. So, there's a lot of things that you can teach yourself if you look at your situation in a better light. Sometimes you look at things and you think that it's a terrible inconvenience, or attitude makes so much difference. If you can have the right attitude, that allows your brain to figure out what you can learn from this, and how you can create a better situation. So the Three Rivers Challenge does that. It challenges you to look in that freezer, figure out what it is you have not used in I don't know how long, and find a menu or a recipe that help you use that. Or, unfortunately, toss it, because we do not want to have things hanging around that just remind us of our mistakes, that something we did that maybe was foolish, maybe it was like impulse, which we all do. So there's that too. It's making the best of a situation. And And in that, you're being grateful because whatever you have is more than what somebody doesn't have. And we need to be grateful for that. I'm so grateful for the pineapple and bananas that I just prepared for my freeze dryer. And when I use them, I will be even more grateful. So, what does the Three Rivers Challenge mean to you? What items could you be using up that you've stored for some reason, and now it's time. It's time to clean it out, get rid of it, clear the shelves. One of Jessica's things is that now you use the bounty of what's on your shelves and empty those jars so that you can get ready for next year's harvest. See, there's a mindset there. Nature abhors a vacuum. So if you empty out the freezer, new things will come in. If you empty out your closet, new clothes will come in. So there is that. It's a law. It's like gravity. It is a principle that is true, that nature cannot stand to be empty. If you have ground that you've prepared and pulled all the weeds, if you don't cover it with something, it'll get covered by nature. So think of that when you are going through the challenge. Maybe the challenge doesn't have to be food for you. Maybe the challenge can be that you're going to look at some area of your house that you've been kind of ignoring and figure out how you could clean it up, fix it up, use it to the best of your ability. So I hope you stay tuned of how the next 2 months are going to transpire for me. Maybe I'll be giving you some ideas on how it can be better for you. But the main thing that is in my heart is to do the best that I can and do it in a way that makes it healthy for me, both healthy in my mind and in my heart and in my body. So, this is Mary. My channel is Mary Bourne ND, but my website is bornforhealth.com. And I really feel that we are all born for health. So thank you for watching, and see what the Three Rivers Challenge can do for you. So here we have it. Banana strips, pineapple slices, and a little bit of pear. So we'll see how these turn out in our freeze dryer.